Hey everybody, today we're building an X2. We're gonna unbox this bad boy and let's rip it. The boxes come pretty well taped up. Inside your box here, it's gonna come with a little bit of things to not do when you take your printer out of the box. To those of us who have been printing for a while, are fairly obvious, and some of them to people that are new, not so much. First things first, you got your top packing foam. Next thing you're gonna see is inside the box here, your gantry with your Y-axis on it, ready for your print head. Gonna lift that out, and we're gonna set it aside. Next thing in the box is gonna be your filament spool holder. This right here is the Gen 2 direct drive extruder tool head. Of course, you have your power cord, instruction manual, test filament, your Allen wrenches, and all the screws that you'll need to put the printer together. With all that out of the way, we're now ready to pull out the base. This printer comes just about fully assembled. Once we're at this point, I'm gonna tip the box up so I can show you how to get the printer out of here. You're gonna grab from the sides here and lift out. Grabbing from the base and making sure not to grab from the bed. As you can see, most of your components are already pretty much pre-built. We're gonna pull this base out of this bag and set it facing toward you for just a second. Next thing you'll grab is your gantry with your Y-axis. Next step, open up your tool bag, grab your Allen wrenches and the screws that you'll need to assemble the printer. Once you have all those taken out, you're ready to go ahead and put your gantry on. You're gonna take the gantry, and these notches right here on the sides of the gantry are going to line up with the little plugs right here. And slot in just like that. Next, you'll come to the back and plug in your dual Z motors. Once you're done plugging in your Z motors, come over here to your package of screws, and you'll find 4 of these M3 threaded screws. Pick the corresponding Allen key, and these 4 screws are going to go in the 2 holes right here on the sides of the gantry. So a very common mistake when building your printer is paying attention to one side of the gantry and not the other. So as I did on this side, I did not have the line lined up with the notch that it was supposed to go into, which was throwing off this side, not allowing me to thread the screw in. Now that that's lined back up the way it's supposed to be, these screws screw in very easily. Make sure to not over tighten them. Okay, now that your gantry is initially installed on your base, you're ready to plug in a couple of connections that you've got to make for the printer to work. The first one we're going to work on is the bed power cable. The adapter for the bed power cable is right here, and as you can see, there's 6 holes across the top of the adapter and 6 pins. You want to be very careful when you're plugging this in to make sure that the pins do not go underneath or over top of that plug, otherwise your bed will give you an error when you go to turn on your printer. Once that's plugged in, you're going to grab the 2 little hex head screws, and there are 2 holes, one here and one here, that these 2 screws will thread into to hold this bed connector on so that it can't come loose. This also acts as the strain relief so that none of your wires break on your bed heater. Sometimes these bed plugs like to be a little bit tricky, and this little rubber piece here likes to be out of line with the screw hole. All you have to do is take your finger, push it over a little bit, and the screw hole will line up and allow the screw to go right down through. Okay, now that we've gotten past that step, there's a 20-pin cable over here underneath your Y motor. The plug for the 20-pin cable says please tighten the ribbon cable right here with an arrow pointing to it. We're just going to take that cable and pop it right in there. There, the 20-pin cable is plugged in. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to secure the gantry from the bottom of the printer. These 2 hex nut screws right here. There's a hole right here and a hole right here that both of these screws are going to go into. Get it in there, get the threads to slip past the base of the hole, and then just tighten it down. Now that the main body of the printer is fully assembled, we're going to go ahead and install our tool head, and that's the last step that we have to go through before we're ready to do our initial calibration and start printing. The tool head is a very easy design that's designed to be quick changeable. 1 screw here and 1 screw in the back. Right here on this carriage, you can see the 2 screw holes, 1 in the top and 1 from the back. There's 2 notches right here that line up over top of these 2 bolts. You take your hex screw and screw in the top one. I recommend doing the top one first, as it frees up your hands to be able to go ahead and hold onto the back screw, which is a little bit more difficult to get to. With that, we're ready to put on our spool holder, which clips into the top right here, and we're ready to turn on the printer and begin our initial print. The best thing about this printer is that to get started, you don't need a laptop or a computer. There are some test files already on the SD card, which is included in the bag with your extra nozzle and your wrench. We'll get our SD card out. The SD card holder on this printer is located right here in the front next to your USB Type A and your USB-C. Simply flip the card upside down as it shows on the picture and click the card in. Next, plug in your 20-pin power cable for the tool head. With all that complete, we're ready to plug in the printer. Now that we've got everything plugged in, I want to show you guys how we're going to load up the filament, get your first print and calibration started. We're going to just use some simple PLA today that we offer here at GL Robotics. This is the most simple form of plastic to print with, and it's where most people decide to start. So I figured it would be a perfect place to go with the perfect starter printer. Flip our power switch. Screen is lighting up. From here, there's a couple things we've got to do before we can go ahead and start the print. First one being the automatic bed leveling. We're going to hit automatic bed leveling. The message is going to pop up on the screen saying we're waiting for the bed to heat up and the nozzle to heat up, and then the printer will automatically start leveling. While we're doing that, we're going to go ahead and prep our filament, get the end out of the hole that it comes pre-wrapped in, and just hang the filament. The direction that you're going to want to feed the filament depends on what side you decide to have your spool holder on. The spool holder can go on either side. If you're going to have it on the right side, you're going to want the filament feeding to the left. If you're going to have it on the left side, you're going to want the filament feeding to the right. With both of these printers, you're going to want it feeding over the top and not from underneath. That'll cause too many twists in your filament, and that can break your filament and clog up your nozzle while you're printing. While we wait for this to heat up, I want to let you guys know about the many options of filament that we have here at GL Robotics. We offer 6 different kinds of filament in 36 different colors. With that being said, most of those colors only come in PETG, ABS, and PLA. We do offer some polycarbonate, some carbon fiber filaments, and a little bit of TPU. The best place to start for beginning printers is PLA and PETG. PLA because it's real simple, it's really hard to mess up, set it, forget it, you're good to go. PETG, if you're looking for something that you're going to be able to leave outdoors, that's going to be the route that you're going to want to go to. It stands up to heat a little bit better, has a better UV resistance, and it's not any stronger than PLA per se, but it is the better option for being outside. As you can see, the printer is now warmed up to the temperature that it needs to be at, and the automatic bed leveling has begun. This printer, instead of using a probe sensor, it uses the nozzle with a little electrical charge when the nozzle hits the bed to let it know where the bed is. This printer and the other 2 in the Magician series line are available here at GL Robotics. This is the smallest of the 3. This is a 235 by 235 by 250 millimeter build size. We also offer the Max 2, which is 325 by 325 by 350, and the Pro 2, which is 405 by 405 by 450. Currently, we are the only company in the United States that is allowed by Mingda to offer parts and services in the United States. We actually have a storeroom with extra print heads, gantries, Z-screws, beds, whatever you might need for these printers. You can order it right here in the United States and not have to wait for the shipping from China. I personally take care of all of the parts and test them before we ship them, so I know that every one of your parts, when it comes to you, you'll be a satisfied customer. And now that the automatic bed leveling is done, we're going to take our regular standard sheet of paper and set it here on our bed. We're going to come over here to our screen, we're going to hit menu, and we're going to go to baby steps. It's going to ask us if we want the printer to home. We're going to say yes. Now the printer is going to move the head to the center of the bed, which is its central home position, so that we can set our Z offset. Now that we're at this point, we're going to go ahead and try to move our piece of paper around. And you can feel that there's just a little bit too much tension between the paper and the bed. So what we're going to do is right here, we're going to set this setting to 0.01. On this Z offset, we need to go up. So we're going to hit the up arrow, and it'll show you what interval you've gone up as you move your sheet of paper to help you set your Z offset. What you're looking for when you set your Z offset is for there to be very little tension on the paper, but you can still feel the nozzle just touching it. That feels pretty good. Now that we're done with that, we're going to hit save and hit confirm. Once your Z offset is set, if you don't move your printer, you're very rarely going to have to reset your Z offset. With that being said, if you're printing abrasive materials with your brass nozzle, it's going to wear down your nozzle and you are going to have to adjust your Z offset. Now that our Z offset is set, we're going to go ahead and load our filament so that we can start our first print. To load our filament, we're going to go to preheat, and we're going to hit PLA. Once we've done that, that's going to preheat the bed and the nozzle to the standard set temperatures for PLA. We're going to go back, hit menu, and hit extrude. Once we're here, we're going to take the end of our filament and place it in the top of the extruder. It's going to pass through the filament runout sensor on the top, and you're just going to take your finger and your thumb and pull back gently on this lever while you feel the filament slip down past the gears. When you let go, you should feel the filament stuck in the gears. Now, we're going to load the filament. We're going to set it to 10 millimeters, and we're going to hit the load button, and you'll feel it pulling the filament through. This firmware that I'm dealing with here on this printer today is already pre-installed on the printer. There's no configuration files or anything that you as the user need to go through and mess with to make the printer work. It's out of the box, do the few steps that we showed you here today, and load your filament and you're good to go. All right, so there's filament coming out of the nozzle now. So what we'll do is we'll go back here, hit home, and hit this home right here with the little circle on it. That's gonna home everything on the printer. Once it's done homing, you can go back, hit the print button, find your SD card, find your file, your G code, hit it, and confirm that you would like to print that file. The SD card is preloaded with the test file. There's no need for you to have a computer to start your first print and test your print. It's already preloaded for you. You can put in your filament, do your test print, make sure everything is okay, and then get into slicing your own files. All right, the printer is warmed up, filament's running through. What it's doing right now is it's doing a purge line. So it's making sure that your filament is actually coming out of the nozzle before it starts doing your print. It's automatically built into the G code for the printer to do that on every single print. It'll make sure that any old filament that's left from a previous print is purged out and that the new filament is what's coming out of the nozzle first. Now, it's just a waiting game for your print to be done and then flexing it off the plate and enjoying the beauty that is. Now that the test print is done, we're gonna go ahead and show you how to get it off the bed. Very simple process. Move the bed forward. There's two blue lines on the bed where you can put your thumbs without affecting the surface that your print's gonna go on. Pull your bed off, and as you can see, just doing that, the print popped right off. The bottom finish is nice and textured, just like the plate, and it's as simple as going ahead and removing this little skirt and the purge line, replacing the bed on your printer, putting it back, hitting confirm, and you're ready to start your next print. With these beds, you don't have to wait at all. The Flex PEI textured beds, you can just take it off, flex it, and your print will pop off pretty much perfect every time. That's your full initial setup on your X2 for the first time in your test print. If you really enjoyed this video and it was helpful for you, please like and subscribe. We'll be having more videos like this one and better in the future. Also, make sure you visit GL Robotics and pick up your printer today and grab some filament while you're at it. We have all kinds of options. Thanks for watching.